Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. And I also hope that you guys had an absolutely amazing weekend. I am Janine Harry, and it is so good to be back with another video. So I do want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to hop on here and to listen to what I have to say. I do appreciate that so much. I am going to leave all formality talk for at the end of this video. For now, all I do want to say is that this is a channeled message. So I have set the intention that it reaches whomever it should, whenever it should. This is also a collective channeled message, so please do take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? So let's get right into this message. So this morning, after I completed what I needed to do, my higher self spoke to me and it gave me this particular message, which is up on my thumbnail. And it says, "You can't fight the devil in their own territory because it is their territory and you don't belong there. The devil will always win on their own ground." And I was like, wow, I love this because this resonates on so many levels. And immediately I knew that this is something that I needed to share with the collective as well. I also love it when my higher self speaks in metaphors, but I don't often like using metaphors because it can sound quite offensive. It's like, oh, why are you calling some people devils? But here's the thing, a devil is not somebody who has horns and wears a cape. That is just the illusion or the sort of mythical part of what we think a devil looks like. Actually, a devil is an archetypal character, and many people embody the traits of this particular archetype, the archetype of the devil. The devil archetype is somebody who is manipulative, who loves to gossip, who is a troublemaker, who thrives on making other people feel a sense of shame. And the list goes on and on and on, right? And most often, the devil or people who embody these devil like traits, they operate almost effortlessly in the spaces where, they belong. These spaces are, in essence, the playground, or, for lack of better word, the hell. So, in a lot of spaces, there are these devil type archetypes which operate. And a lot of times, when we walk into these spaces or we engage with people in these spaces for whatever reason, you will realize that these spaces are quite dark. And when I say dark, I mean there is low vibrational energy. So you are able to see exactly what is wrong here. You are able to see the shadows. You are able to see who is the problem, who is the troublemaker. And sometimes we innocently speak out of turn. We innocently want to warn people about this particular person. We innocently want to say things like, well, you need to watch out for this person. This person is manipulative. This person is brainwashing you. This person is simply just using you. Be careful of this person. We innocently say these things, hoping that people will actually take us seriously, hoping that people would set certain boundaries in space for these people. But you will realize that at the end of the day, the devil always wins on their own ground. It is no use fighting a devil or trying to compete with a devil in his or her own territory. That is the golden thread right there. It is no use trying to fight with somebody, metaphorically speaking, that is. It is no use trying to do that, trying to expose people within their own territories. Okay. Now, if you are watching this video, you may be someone who has seen a lot. You have been exposed to a lot. You have heard things you were not supposed to hear. You have seen things you were not supposed to see. And best believe, if you were to be entirely honest about every single thing you heard and every single thing you saw, a lot of chaos would occur. A lot of conflict would occur. I always say that if some people were to speak out about what they know, many people wouldn't be as buddy buddy as they are. That's just the reality of it because that's the thing about truth. Truth hurts. The truth hurts. And here's the thing, you have been exposed to these truths. And it's not just any type of truths, it's not the truths which liberate us, it is dark truths. It is those truths that have been swept under the rug for many years. It is those truths that have been hidden in the closet. And you are the one that saw those truths. And you always knew that you had the power to speak your truth because you knew that once you speak your truth, a lot of conflict will occur. You will actually break down the structures of illusion. However, your higher self, call it spirit, call it God, call it source, whatever you want to call it, your higher self entrusted you to see what you were not supposed to see because your higher self knew that you were wise enough to know, and you are still currently wise enough to know that it is not your place to expose people. It is not your place to name and shame. You know that whatever needs to come to the surface will come to the surface when need be. Whoever needs to be exposed will be exposed when need be. And that is why you were entrusted with having to see things that you didn't even want to see, hear things that you didn't even want to hear. You were entrusted with that because your higher self knew and you knew that you would not play dirty. You would not be malicious. You would not be like, hey, I've got the power to blackmail you because that is not who you are. But there's also another reason as to why you were exposed to many things, specifically many negative things. And this is because it were those things that you witnessed that was the confirmation that you needed. It was through observing and seeing certain things that confirmed that, hey, you don't belong in those spaces. You don't belong there. You needed to be aware of what was happening. Many dark things needed to come into your awareness for you to actually realize that the spaces you were operating in and the people you were engaging with were never good for you. It was never spaces where you belonged in. You needed to see that as painful as it was to witness certain things and to hear certain things, you needed to see those things to know that this is not where I belong. So, seeing those things, regardless of how negative it is or was things that needed to, as I say, come into your field of awareness. If you remain in spaces, and I just want to backtrack here and say that this is the point of the channeled message. If you remain in spaces where you are aware of the dark secrets that have been swept under the rug or things that have been hidden in the closet, if you remain in those spaces, you are always going to be fighting with a devil which you cannot win, which you cannot conquer. Because, as Spirit so beautifully says, it is the devil's territory. And you cannot fight the devil on their own grounds. Because when a devil is on their own grounds, that is when they have the most power, the most support. So remaining in spaces where you don't belong and subsequently trying to fight certain energies within those spaces is of no use. You will never win. And this doesn't mean that you are weak. It simply means this it means you do not belong there. So, realizing that these spaces are not for you is what you have needed to realize all this time. Because it is through this knowing that you can now say, like, hey, I choose to walk a different path. I choose to step into a different reality and into a different timeline. I choose to experience something different. Now, my higher self gave me this visual, a very metaphorical visual. I want you to think of certain spaces as being dark, okay? Not dark in the visual sense of, oh, it's dark and I can't see, but dark in terms of it being low vibrational and hosting so many people that are low vibrational. A lot of times you become the archetype of the torch in which you enter these dark spaces and you put a spotlight on the shadows. Now imagine you are sleeping and somebody shines a torch in your eyes. That would be completely irritating, right? And that is what your light has done. Your light has irritated people. Your light has annoyed people because you have put a spotlight on the illusions. You have put a spotlight on the shadows. You have put a spotlight on the facade. And boy, oh boy, you have been a walking trigger. You have been a walking trigger for so many people that were not ready to face their own shadows, that were not ready to face their own traumas, that were not ready to see the devil for exactly who the devil is. You have put a spotlight on that, but now you are called to take a step back, to realize that you are not just here to fight the devil. You are not just here to dance in the dark. You deserve so much better. You deserve to walk into the light. You deserve to surround yourself with people who are high vibrational, people who are on this path of self awareness. That is what you deserve because you don't choose to play dirty. You don't choose to play the game of holding up the facade and holding up appearances. You choose authenticity. And this is why you needed to be exposed to everything you were exposed to, regardless of how painful it was because it was in that moment of being exposed to certain things that you realized that you needed to choose differently. And I am so proud of you for that. Okay, I'm going to leave this message right here for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope it resonates. If you have not done so already, please do subscribe to this YouTube channel and show this video some love. Let me know what you think. And if you think that, hey, there's someone out there who might need to see this message or hear this message or see this video, do not hesitate to share the link of this video with that person. Okay? So I'll be back with another video sometime in this week or next week. Let's see. But till then, I'm sending you so much love. Have an awesome day further.